seeing that at 6 o'clock.
Should be.
Good. All right. Seeing that at 6 o'clock, call the August 15, 2016 City Council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnett,
Present.
Mr. Austin,
Here.
Mr. Avon,
Here.
Mr. Alt,
Here.
Mr. Agers, Mr. Fox,
Here.
and Mr. Wood.
Here.
So we have four.
Thank you, ma'am. Communication, if you would, please, Mr. Austin.
Again, please, Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this day to us. Thank you for all the blessings you've bestowed upon all of us, Lord. We ask you, please be with our first responders, Lord. We ask you, please be with the police department, fire department. Please be with our armed service members and their families, wherever they might be, protecting us. We ask this in your name, we pray. Amen.
For the Pledge of Allegiance, we have a couple special guests from the local Boy Scout troop here. So I would like to welcome up this time Tyler and Daniel. If you would please come on up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Any announcements, public comments? Hearing none, move into consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda minutes from August 1st.
Second.
Motion by Barnett, second by Avon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Old business. Anything left here is under new business.
Make a motion to read all under new business by title only.
Second.
Motion by Barnett, second by Avon. All those in favor?
Aye.
First item, I don't see Officer Burton here, so I'm going to skip. Okay, I'll skip to the next. Is Sergeant Carter here? Are you fill in Sergeant Carter? We'll skip, if you guys are okay with that, I'll skip to item number 2 on there as we're waiting Mr. Burton's, or Officer Burton's arrival. This item is request approval to accept ICJI 2016 Operation Pullover. And on behalf of Sergeant Carter is the Chief of Assault.
And I will say that's the same grant used every single year, the same language, nothing's changed.
It has been working. I saw him last week in about a 30-minute time span with 4 different vehicles pull over for a seatbelt, and that was Sergeant Carter. So I think he's out there getting after it.
Yeah. Lead by example.
We can make a motion on this thing.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Adams, second by Austin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is Common Council Resolution number 2016-14, approval of a resolution establishing internal control training procedures. Ms. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Gentlemen, this is the resolution that I indicated to you with your approval and bring forward for approval tonight. This simply indicates that council members, since you are in the business of approving claims and managing money in the city of Franklin, will watch the State Board of Accounts video and then sign a resolution or sign a certificate that's attached to the resolution, provided to our clerk treasurer, and it will be part of our permanent records regarding internal control. That way, the State Board of Accounts does come and do an audit, they will see that anybody who has authority over the money has watched their video.
When does this have to be done by the way?
By the end of the year.
By the end of the year?
Right. I would also indicate to you that similar motions, resolutions will be on the RDC, the FDC. It's already been approved by the Police Merit Commission. We have this in file, and it'll also be the Fire Merit Commission. The basis for that is the fact that they do approve claims. So they will also be signing the same resolutions. Obviously, if you serve on those boards, you only have to bunch of points. That's punishment enough. And then you sign your application, sign your certification in whatever capacity you are that point.
I would make a motion to approve resolution number 16-14.
Second.
Motion by Barnett, second by Avon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
see Officer Burton and his family have arrived. So all at this time, I'll call up Chief Sullivan for the awarding the life-saving medal to Officer Brian Burton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It should be noted to the board that this award was presented to Officer Burton at the Merit Commission meeting on August the 9th, and hence the medal on the June. I'll read the letter to everybody. Officer Burton, upon the recommendation of Sergeant Sean Henson, I am pleased to inform you that you have been awarded the Police Life-Saving Medal for the quick and decisive action taken on June 24th, 2016, in administering CPR and Narcan to a 31-year-old man that was found unresponsive and without pulse. Thanks to your efforts, a life was saved. The example you have set in your compassion for others, willingness to help, and concern for preservation of life is a credit to you and the law enforcement profession. Congratulations.
Last point, I appreciate all of your service and your willingness to help out this young man. Unfortunately, in this day and age, every time we turn on the television, it's a lot of times the opposite. The negative media that a lot of times the police and sheriff's office across the country receive, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Common Council Budgetary Resolution number 2016-05, transferring $3,000 from Clerk Treasurer Services to supplies. Ms. Rhodes?
Yes, sir. We just doing a little housekeeping. We've had some expenses and I just need to have your approval, council, to move some money from my 300 to
Madam Secretary, this is already appropriated, so we're just transferring
Yes,
it to that series. You may take action if you so desire.
Make a motion to approve the transfer.
Second.
Motion by Adams, second by Ward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is for introduction. Actually, I think the next few are for introduction only. The first item is Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1610, the City of Franklin, Indiana Budgetary Ordinance fixing and authorizing the payment of certain salaries of appointed officers and employees for year 2017, and this is tied to the civil city budgets. So the next, those two items, three items actually, and then item number 8 on here is the actual introduction of the budget. That we talked about the last 2 meetings or so. Again, this is for introduction. Going to, like I said, 5, 6, and 7 are all kind of tied in together with the different salary ordinances. First one is civil city, the second one is for the utility, the third one is for all the elected officials, which includes you all. Any questions or comments?
Mayor, I know last year we had talked about looking at the street department's budget and potentially trying to get some of the street department employees pay increased. Have you considered that from last year's consideration? We discussed that at length.
Yeah, we, so in this year's budget, it is a 3% raise, and that's for all departments, not just the street department. Have not had a lot of in-depth conversations with Mr. Jones in regards to additional increases beyond that. I'm more than happy to have that conversation with him between now and the next meeting, which we skip the first meeting in September because it's Labor Day within there. Okay. Any suggestions?
We can talk.
Okay.
I get a little heartburn with straight 3%, so it seems like the lower, and I can try to explain this the way I see it, the lower income people that we have to look for, it seems like they always stay at that lower rate. And it would make some sense sometimes to maybe you pick out the highest pay, which, and I'm just gonna throw some numbers out there, say it's $1,000 raise, let's just, for easy numbers. And the lowest pay is gonna be $200. Well, I'd like to see sometimes that everybody gets the same raise, not just a 3%, but like if the highest paid guy gets this, and we want to give the highest pay to everybody, do that. Or if the lowest paid guy gets this, then the person who makes most now gets the lowest pay. Instead of always, it's like the higher income always gets the bigger bump, and the lower income always gets to stay at the bottom. And I agree with Kenny. I think we got some people, we said this last year, that I think that we don't pay very well at. We got some places that pay very well, but we got some that seems to stay at the bottom. And I would like to somehow see that come up someday. It seems like we try to address that every year, and we never make that happen. So that's just a comment I got, just something to think about. I don't know how you get to that point to help the lower income person or the lower paid person, but I'd like to see that somehow.
Steve, this has been a issue for the past 20-some years that I've been sitting here, and we've gone through 2 or 3 renditions of things to remedy the issue that you just brought up. The problem with a across-the-board percentage increase is that the higher paid employees get a larger raise because they make more money and it's a percentage base. We at one point went to a performance-based increase per employee, and we left that up to the department heads to determine who got what in their department, and they had a range that they had to stay within. I think we went through that for 2 or 3 years, and it never worked out real well because the department heads could never step up to the plate and do it. They ended up leveling it all out so that no one got mad at them. So one way to alleviate the problem that you're talking about is what we were doing not too long ago when we were having the issue with not knowing what our income was going to be from the state. We were giving incentives, or not incentives, but a yearly stipend. That way everyone got the same amount. And I think we did that for 3 or 4 years in a row. And I was kind of the one pushing for that at that point in time. And several of the council members didn't agree with that, but at least we were able to give the employees something every year. But that's one way of taking care of the lower end not getting as much of a raise because it's a 3% based upon the base pay, is to get a stipend. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing to consider is a performance-based increase with how you want to administrate that. Might be something we need to look at because the last time we tried it, it didn't work out too well. Just something to think about.
The last year that we had the stipend, the EIP, I think is what it spelled out into the budget was, so I inherited the 2012 budget and it was in there, and then it was also then, the last year we did was 2013. So I think it was 11, 12, and 13 the 3 years that it occurred. I think 2013 was around $1,500.
That sounds
I
right.
think 2012 was 1,800, I think 13 was 1,500. Close.
You're in the ballpark.
I agree with what Joe is saying, but I'm not sure that 3% is the right number in this economic situation right now. And I think it's worthy of some discussion and I was trying to look today, and there's a pool of dollars that we have for wages. And I think it's our fiduciary responsibility to make sure we invest those dollars in the best benefit for our city.
Keep in mind, all of our employees' positions have job descriptions, and those job descriptions are based upon other job descriptions which are similar across the state. And the last time we did a cost study compared to other cities our size, I think we were right about in the middle, if I remember correctly. So we aren't too far out of line, I don't think. We might be a little out of line on a few positions, but I'm not for sure what they are. But if you are trying to equate a street department labor's position to a fireman, EMT, then you're barking at the wrong tree. Because it's two entirely different things. The responsibilities are at the other end of the ball field. So please keep that in mind when you're making these comments.
So the beauty of some of these salary surveys is the Indiana Association of Cities and Towns every year, usually in the summer, produces a document that kind of shows you, I think some of you requested it last year, and it will show you everything from cities that, or towns that have 500 people to cities that have 150,000 people. And gives you an idea of everything from elected people, civil city people, utility folks, gives you an idea of everyone, whether there's mayors and judges and everybody else, city court judges, those kind of things, are all included in this budget, or in this salary survey. I believe that the most recent one was put out a couple of months ago by IACT, and so it's available. I'm sure I probably have it in my email. I know I've looked through it the first day or two after I received it, so if any of you would like a copy of that, I can email it out and get it out to everybody. There's usually like 2 or 3 different, I think you have one specifically for towns, and you have one for cities of certain size, and cities of certain size, I'm sure.
I can't see how you can apply the same principles we did over the last few years when we adjusted our department head salary. We used similar town sizes, similar towns that were like us. And that's how we did the mayor, that's how we did fire department, that's how we did, other department heads. And I think what Joe said, he's right on, we're just at about the middle, so we're not too far off. So department heads should be able to identify, and those of us in the council that are insert that have budgets should be able to get with the department heads and kind of, let's pick out the positions that do need to be adjusted. And just do it the same way we did the department heads. Just look at other cities and towns our same size. Because we're not really recreating anything. We'll just follow the same way we adjusted department heads and some key figures.
Personally, I think a performance-based increase would be the way to go. We just have to figure out how to administer it.
Roger that, I agree with that. I believe.
Joe, everything you said, I agree totally with Joe. You mentioned that we've been basically in the middle, kind of, sometimes we're on the low side, sometimes we're, maybe on the upper third of the list, but I think you hit it right on the nail and on the head, and I think that, and I agree with what you're saying too, Joe. I think we can simplify it a little bit. I think we ran into job description issues, didn't we, last few years about job descriptions and through department heads, and maybe I might be wrong, but I think there was some issue with job description, wasn't there?
The only issue if you were looking at me, the only issue I was made aware of was from the department heads themselves on performance-based, not wanting to be in a position of how to apply it.
Yeah.
That was an issue, it's brought to legal.
At the time we did that, the council gave responsibility to the department heads to administer the percentage of raise that each employee got within the given range that the council gives.
Right.
And at that point in time, which has been several years ago, I don't believe anyone on the council now, except me, was there. And that's how old I am.
I don't know, Joe, I might have been there.
Well, you may have. That might have been your first stint.
It might have been with Akers, you're right.
But it never worked out too well.
It did, at all. You're right, they just basically washed it down and tried not to make anyone mad. And so I think when Richards made those comments that he made, I think, we can take the burden off those individuals and do it for them. Potentially.
That's the way it's done in the private sector, so.
Salaries are posted, so it's not like somebody can be walking around with a couple of bucks more than somebody else.
Right, well, I mean, this is not the private sector. that part's different because it is public record, but the way they do it in the private sector is if you do an exemplary job, you get rewarded for it. If you're a slacker, you may not get as much of a reward as some guy that's really pumping and doing a great job. Or lady.
Good save right there.
Gentlemen, shift gears just a little bit. I seen in the newspaper a quote that you and Dr. Clendening had the tax caps. Where are we at with that, lost revenue? It said,
What was my quote?
well, something about it had to be wrong.
Or what was my
Well,
alleged quote?
something about it had to be wrong, what the state had
Oh, yeah,
said.
it was, yeah, I heard that too.
Oh, yeah. So, and this was, Jane, we just had this conversation this morning, 2 weeks ago. Actually, I think it was August 1st or 2nd. We received, rarely do we ever receive any documentation or any sort of projections from the Department of Local Government Finance before the budget. Typically, it's November, December, 1782 notice comes in February, tells you, yes, you can do that, so no, you can't, it's too late, we already started paying employees and hired people that were included in the budget and that kind of thing. So this year, they sent out a projected circuit breaker loss, which is essentially with tax caps in place now, how much money we can anticipate losing due to the tax caps. We have, I remember 2012, 2013, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.1 to $2.3 million. Because of assessed value continued to increase, we've got that number down to about 1.2, 1.4 million in that range. So it's become a lot more manageable, and it doesn't really, it's not killing us today. The schools has diminished considerably as well, and yes, it's still an issue for all of us, but it's gotten a lot more manageable. Well, they sent out a memo. This is to all 92 counties, every city, every town, every township, every school corporation, everyone that receives tax revenue 2 weeks ago, basically. And in this, gave everyone circuit breaker loss, and ours went from 1.2 million to 6 million. The Franklin Community Schools went from 2.5 million basically to 15 million. To kind of point out another one, Avon Schools was 42 million. So it created this panic. I know when my phone rings before 8 o'clock in the morning from Dr. Clendening, and it's not snowing out to tell me that, hey, we're going to be on a delay or something, I know something's up. And so I answered it, and it was him telling me, like, I'm not sure that he was breathing at this point. I could hear Jeff Mercer in the background chirping, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure who was talking faster. But there was some serious panic going on. Since then, we've had some communication with the Department of Local, DLGF, and our financial advisor that they've admitted that there is a mistake. They're investigating to see what this is. They kind of laughed it off like it was not a major deal, but there is a concern. I think it's much more than just a Excel spreadsheet error. To be honest with you, I was expecting somewhere in the $700 to $1.2 million range. So my hope is there's a decimal point error, because I think the schools could manage a $1.5 million loss. I know they can't manage a $15 million loss. We can handle a $600,000, $700,000 loss. We can't handle a $6 or $7 million loss. I know we're in conversation, I jokingly said this to the fire chief this morning, that we're in conversation about buying a new fire truck. If that was really our circuit breaker, we'd be selling fire trucks just to be able to pay the bills. So that's the size of this mistake. So at this point, I'm really not concerned. I would like to have some clarification soon, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
So it may be next year before we find out.
Yeah, also within his memo, though, they also sent us what our maximum tax levy is going to be for next year, and it's increased considerably from this year. So obviously there was some Excel spreadsheet there.
When do these budgets have to be passed?
November 1st.
Okay. So we have time, if you send us the comparison sheets, we can go over it and come back, have another
just let me know, if you anticipate making some significant alterations, then I need to go back and make some significant alterations to 2, 3, and 4, and 6. Because it's all in there. But I think you shoot one through there.
We might be putting cart before the horse right now.
I mean, so that DLGF memo is still, I mean, it's not completely removed, it's still in the back of my mind that we know that there was an error, how significant in the calculations.
Are we at our tax levy now?
Yes,
That's good.
yeah. We, this past year, we were off by a couple $100, which is pretty darn good.
All right.
For an $11 million levy.
Good.
Trust me, we're in good shape. There's no panic switch or anything the cover's still on the panic switch. There's not any serious concern by any means, but yeah, I mean, that survey record spreadsheet kind of caused some alarms for a bunch of people. Not just Franklin, it was statewide. Yeah.
Historically, I mean, when would we find out, Joe? We have no idea at all. No idea.
No.
Okay, all right. So I won't ask.
Yeah, historically we don't. The real truth comes in February when it sends our 1782 notice, which
Okay.
breaks down every budget, every fund,
Got it.
and they basically give you a cheat sheet on the front page. It's about 3/4 of a page, maybe a full page, and it tells you budget approved, max levy approved, max levy not approved, budget not approved. And they'll reduce your budget for you. You don't have to go back and do it all. They'll whittle it down for you. They want to make sure you cover debt service first, 100 series next, and then it kind of goes from there.
Joe, your comment, the 200, 300, and 400, those are pretty much realistic of what you need for 2017.
Right. And that's everything from pens and paper to police Dodge Chargers and equipment goes in there.
I think when I looked at budget over, I liked the budget put together. I was just, like I said, something we can do to lower income people that we have working for us out on the streets and doing the manual labor. I just think that they're underpaid. I've said that last year and I'll say it again. If there's something we can do there, I would feel good about it.
Now, keep in mind, if the council would want to do something along those lines, and actually I think Dr. Murphy mentioned it last year about doing some sort of a stipend, that does not come out of the budget. So that is completely separate. That is a cash appropriation from cash reserves, rainy day, wherever you so choose to make that appropriation from. So that has really nothing to do with the budget at all. That comes strictly on cash reserves. You would choose to.
That'd be something, so you're saying maybe the normal 3% raise?
Normal 3% raise could be in the budget, and then you show if you do a stipend.
The stipend could be performance-based.
Could be. You could do a range of those folks that make X to X, get $1,000, and make Y to Y, get $500.
If it's more of a bonus, would that go toward retirement? or-
Be careful using the word
Yeah,
bonus.
we don't do loans, yeah.
That's, I didn't follow last time. But,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
A stipend doesn't help them with their
It
retirement.
doesn't help them with
It does not.
retirement.
It does not. That's why many entities do that.
If we do, is there any way we can get around so that if we do give an extra to those with performance, that it could be counted toward their retirement?
The way that Embers or what we all know as perf, it's not Embers.
They're gonna interpret it and they're not
Yeah.
gonna do that.
They're probably never even going to see it. No, I've only introduced the first one. So the only one that's been introduced at this point is Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1610, which is the salaries for civil city employees and appointed officers. The next one is Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1611, the City of Franklin, Indiana Budgetary Ordinance fixing and authorizing the payment of certain salaries of appointed officers and employees for the year 2017. This is specifically for the utility, the sewer utility. If we have the same discussion, I'm assuming you want to move on here. Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1612, the City of Franklin, Indiana Budgetary Ordinance.
I suggest we budget our light bill.
Yeah, we need to ramp up the 300 series a little bit. Indiana, City of Indiana, also, Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1612, the City of Franklin, Indiana Budgetary Ordinance fixing annual salaries and providing compensation for all elected officials for 2017. So this is specifically for the elected officials. Number 8 is, which all three of those tie into, Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1613, a budgetary appropriation and tax rate ordinance for the year 2017. So what I can do is provide you all email the salary survey conducted by IACT that was put together. They are fairly large documents, so I would just not pay attention to hit print. This one go on. Be specific. I would suggest be specific on the cities you want to compare us to, and look at those communities.
Actually,
Size and geographic location.
if you could go through and handpick cities out our size, that way,
What I'll do is I'll send you all of it. And then in the body of the email, I'll put some of our peers, some of our local communities that we could compare ourselves to, population and geographic location. The problem is there's not a lot of cities our size in the Central Indiana region. They vary from 15,000 employees up to, population all the way down. So I'll pick some that are close to us in the geographic location, but then those that are outside of our area, but are similar size.
yeah,
I know there's a lot in northern Indiana.
the last IAC salary spreadsheet I see, those are, I mean,
It's a lot.
it's everywhere, so
Yeah.
it's confusing, and I don't think it's much of a help.
Yeah, they are large. I mean, you're hearing everything from Rising Sun, Indiana to Gary, Indiana. And there are some communities that don't participate, who choose not to. And so they just don't. So you won't see every city in town in there from across the state. It's only those that are members of IACT and that choose to participate, which we do.
The ones we've seen in the past were, in my opinion, a good representation of our city.
And then, I think it was last year distributed, the city of Shelbyville actually paid an outside consultant to do a similar study, but really kind of hone in on, I think there was a group of about 8 or 10 cities that they really compared them to. We participated in it for free, and our payment for doing it was a free copy. So I can also send that out. It's probably 12 to 18 months old, but these are pretty decent. Most of those probably have some sort of cost of living increase in there, but it gives you an idea. Sure. Things like Shelbyville, Rushville, and us, and Martinsville. So it's gonna be- Any other comments, questions? I'll send those out to you all, and if you can give me back feedback in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, we don't have a meeting the first Monday in September due to Labor Day, but we do have time, we can make some adjustments.
Mayor, how's the committee going on the search and implementation of the new city court?
Yeah, I saw the judge and Amy right here. I had a phone conversation this afternoon with Amy, trying to schedule a meeting with the judge, Amy, myself. Drew's out of town right now, that's why he's not here. But it was like Wednesday morning, I'm gonna meet with that crew, and we're gonna go take a look at Old City Hall on Madison. We've also had an opportunity to explore with things to help from Chief O'Sullivan. We've looked at the police department. We've also looked at the street apartment, which is right next door, obviously, and seeing what some options were there. To be honest with you, I was not prepared for some of the options that were thrown out. Mr. Demas, Billy Demas came along with us. They kind of more of a visionary ideas and kind of throw some things out there. And he's working on some things. He was waiting for the green light to go ahead for me, which I just gave that to him. So we're going to meet Wednesday morning, again, the same crew at City Hall. Kind of explore what all of our options are. The plan is to bring something back to you all and say, we have 3 options or 5 options, or 8 options, whatever that number is, of course. And here's what an estimate is on each one of them. Just asking, kind of figure out what direction we're going. So, yeah, we've had a couple of meetings, and like I said, we've walked through 2 buildings. We're walking through a 3rd one on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Sure. Any council member comments? There's no other business, so let's get to that.
There's an RDC meeting tomorrow at 8 a.m. here.
And ALEC program that we're trying to do for the last 2 years, are we going to try to do that this year, or?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, we've had, it has not made its way to the top of the list for this year, just because we have so much going on, and have so much that's getting ready to start. So for example, the signs, if weather will cooperate, the signs will go up tomorrow, this week, and I'm gonna start going up this afternoon for the closure of Jefferson Street from North Main to the Admiral gas station on West Jefferson Street. So that project will start next Monday, and will go through in or around Thanksgiving. So that first phase of Jefferson Street project will begin next week, next Monday. And again, the forecast is not looking great, so this is all completely weather dependent. That one's getting ready to go. East King Street out by the interstate is obviously rolling along right now. We have the 2016 paving program getting ready to start. The new parking lot on East Jefferson Street down by all the new shops that are kind of popping up east of the railroad track is under construction right now. Other committee.
Did we get Duke's good?
Waiting on some court rulings and decisions. We won first round.
Correct.
Waiting on the Duke filed an appeal and waiting on the decision from the appellate court. All of the documentation to the appellate court is due the 26th of August.
We have requested, since we were successful at the first level, that you review the expedite.
Wayne Street project will also begin here the next, let's see, the 29th? Are you guys done with your 29th?
Yes.
Okay. Fire and police department, the police department's done, but the fire department's going to be training down there on those 4 houses. So, Wayne Street project will start that following Monday. 29th, 30th, whatever that is.
Sorry, wrap up.
Mr. Mayor, if I might add, in response, Mr. Austin, to your question, I would say that judge and city employees, county employees at the existing city court, and itemize what things are going, what things aren't. So whenever you all make those decisions, we will be able also to give you a list of what personal property is ours. And I think that meeting went rather well. And you did, Judge.
You take to the bench, Judge?
I'm sorry?
Take to the bench?
You're taking the benches that are out.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion by Barnett, second by Austin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh.